Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? It's obviously a little rainy here behind. I'm at my home in New Jersey, and it's a beautiful Sunday morning for those who wake up full of energy. Well, can't really go outside and run, but there's plenty you can do today. Good book, maybe come here to Kardec Radio, listen to some good stuff, or of course, just stay under the covers for a little bit more. It's early. Anyway, morning coffee for the soul. Every Sunday we're here at 8:30. I will try to do the morning coffee on a different day if I'm not to be here. I'm going to try to do that, okay? So for the next 12 weeks, we're going to do something different. I was asked to do the morning coffee for the soul for a different place as well. Many of you know Ricardo Mello. He does the gospel pills. I think every morning he sends out these gospel pills, which are little topics that he sends out to all the people who are suffering from different things. And their institute, it's called Namaste Institute, had asked me to do for 12 weeks anything related to depression and anxiety. So I took this idea and I brought it here also to Morning Coffee for the Soul. I think Vanessa thought it was a great idea, and I'm also doing it in Portuguese in my own Facebook at 9 o'clock, as I always do. But, so here it is. We're going today to talk about the first step. First, we have to understand what are these 12 steps that everybody talks about. Morning Coffee for the Soul will be 20 minutes, so we're going to concentrate 10 minutes on depression, 10 minutes on anxiety for the next 12 weeks. So the 12-step program it's really a guideline for people to recover from different addictions, from different illnesses. And it's, of course, it was created by Alcoholics Anonymous, for the creators of the program. And in the 12 steps, it's really the most successful method for people to actually recover from whatever it is that they're suffering. So we know the 12 steps are very, you do have to move on from step to step. So we're going to start, and we can really understand them by going through in different ways in our own lives. Many say that the 12 steps are very heavy into spirituality. Well, thank God, because it is the most effective method that's ever been created for recovery. And so we can't ignore that. Some people have tried to ignore the spiritual side of the 12 steps, and they see that it is based on it. So it's kind of taking the burger out of the bun and serving the bun and calling a burger. It's not. It's just the bun. So anyway, we're going through the first step today. When it relates to depression, first of all, the 12 steps. For the AA, the first step is to really recognize that you're powerless, that you are an alcoholic, that your life is completely out of control, that your life is really, you have no power over alcohol, that it has taken over you. And without help and without first admitting that you have a problem, that actually calling yourself out and saying, I've hit bottom and I am powerless, I need help. You can't move on to anything else until you admit defeat. Yes, defeat. Because it takes us to the most humble that we'll have to be. And unless we humble ourselves down, we will never be able to get true help and to actually throw ourselves, surrender ourselves. That's why Jesus told us that we can pray and we should pray. And he taught us the model of a prayer when he did the Dominical prayer, the Our Father. And he asks so many things on the prayer. And he's asking, so why should we not ask? And that means that when you pray, that you are humbling yourself and you're saying, I need help, right? So the first step in regards to depression, we need to admit that we have hit that. We are depressed, that we are suffering from something that's beyond our control, that it's not so easy when people tell us, oh, just open the window and look at the blue sky. Or, this is just, you just need to work and that's the end of it. You just got to get out of this, snap out of this. depression it deserves so much seriousness. It deserves so much more really respect than what many people see it as, something that's just for the lazy. And some people still believe that. So when you feel that you might be suffering from depression, it's still a thought. But when you are depressed, when you really have sought everything inside of you to get that smile, to get that that feeling of pleasure into doing things, to really see the green and the trees, and to really be able to have moments of happiness, and you can't reach that, well, most likely you are suffering from depression. And unless you admit that you have hit rock bottom and you have really gotten to a point where you say, I am suffering from depression, I am stuck on this, I'm trying to go somewhere, I don't know where, I'm just going inside of myself more and more, and it's not working for me. I am more and more going into this hole, going into this deep place, and I don't want to be there. Well, that's when you admit that you need help. That's when you say, I need help. I need all the tools that I can get. So depression, it's a quite easy, actually, diagnosable illness. Of course, that not everybody, we can't take it so literal, because sometimes people will be depressed for less than 2 weeks. They can vary in a few different things. But of course, you have to seek medical attention. But the first step is you have to admit that you need help, that you are suffering from depression, that things are not going to just get better on its own. So the most liability to the first step is actually self-confidence. Now, how strange is that? Because self-confidence is that belief that we can do things, that we are able. But when we have reached a point that we cannot do by ourselves, and that's the problem with alcoholics, they always believe they can, when I use the word always, it's just force of habit. Of course not, there's exceptions, but most alcoholics are reluctant to admit that they need help. A lot of addicts will say, I can stop anytime I want. A lot of people who are suffering from depression say, there's nothing anybody can do. It is what it is. So we need to humble ourselves down and say, I need help. I need to do things. I need to be useful to the world. I cannot just roll inside and just go into this deep place and stay there. That's the only level of self-confidence that will work. All the others will not. The minute that you say you can do it by yourself, that you have the power to do this alone, it won't work. It'll work against you, because it is too much of a burden for you to carry it by yourself. You have to actually admit and say, I need to get out of this and I need help. And I have to start with a clear slate. That's why when we admit that I am depressed, when we admit that I have a problem that I can't get out of, then we can really hit bottom and we can start with a clear slate. We can start taking the very next steps to recovery, to relief, to really win over whatever it is that we're suffering. But the first step is admittance that you're powerless, that you need help, that you need the tools. Kardec in question 919, he asked, what's the best, most effective way for us to really get better, to move on, to progress? And the spirits will begin to answer that by saying that you have to know yourself. So we really have to know ourselves to the level of, I can't get better without help. So in the case of depression, you have to admit that you are depressed. You can't just take pills on your own and pretend this will go away in its own time. You need medical attention. You need psychological attention. You need group attention. And most of all, you need spiritual reconnection, because we disconnect when we just run away within ourselves. We disconnect, and we need this connectiveness. again, with spirituality first and foremost. And that is why the AA is so successful, because it has spiritual elements in just about every single step. So the first step is, let's admit, let's start asking for help, because life, again, has become unmanageable. I am depressed. Maybe I'm missing days of work. I have no pleasure in seeing my own children do things. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with being an addict and being depressed. What is wrong is when you don't seek help. You shouldn't have to do that. You should ask for help. Who do you know that has never gone sad, or who has never gone through a problem that they say, I need to talk to someone, I need help? All of us. And if anyone says, I have never needed anybody in the world, well, what world are you living on? You are not living in a world that you don't need help. So again, for depression, my friends, if you notice that you're not having any pleasure on the things that used to give pleasure to you, I'm not talking about a temporary sadness, a reaction to something that happened. I'm talking about reaching deep bottom, where you can't really bring that smile, that old you. Many people say, I can't be my old self anymore. Nothing really brings any reaction of anything good. Well, that most likely is depression, and you need a diagnose, or you can look at yourself. I mean, there's plenty of material these days on the internet. So that is depression. Do not let yourself go deeper in the hole, because it is a hole that you dig, and the darker it gets as you step down more and more. So now anxiety. Anxiety is not much different. Anxiety, and we talked so many times here for anxiety. You know, it's when you think of the future, you can't live in the present. You are constantly, everything is a threat. You are believing yourself to be vulnerable, more vulnerable than you really are. You have this distorted view that the future is uncertain, that the world is in chaos, the world is helpless, and that you are vulnerable. That's the triad of the cognitive model of anxiety. So when you have hit bottom and you truly believe that you are so vulnerable, that you start hiding yourself, that everything causes anxiety to the point of panic attacks, that you believe that you're so vulnerable that sometimes people will develop agoraphobia. They will see so many different things that could happen outside. They can't find an escape strategy, so they'd rather not even go out anymore. It's not the fear really of being in the open spaces. It's really the fear of not having an escape in case something happens. So you don't want to be out in a place where there are so many variables that could go wrong. So again, stress is it's healthy. Some level of stress is healthy. I mean, we have to have that. We need motivation, actually. We need to be a little stressed to motivate us to do things. But when you live anxious, when you live in a belief that you are so anxious that, you are so anxious that you believe that you are vulnerable to all bad things happening to you, that the world is really chaotic and that the future is doomed. That is when you have to go back to the first step again and say, I have to admit that my anxiety has taken over, that I can't enjoy being out in the open and feel that I'm not that vulnerable, that good things can happen, that the interview that I have to go could go very well, that the future is not uncertain. And with Spiritism, we learn that the only future that we'll have eventually is complete peace and happiness. And Kardec brings this very, very clear in the codification that we are not doomed. We are actually setting ourselves in every incarnation for progress. Your next incarnation will never be worse than the one that you are having today as far as your moral progress. And when you grow in more morality, in ethics, I wouldn't say even what we believe as ethics and moral, but a much more faith-based sense of goodness, of the righteousness, then think about it. If you are to really understand the Spiritist doctrine, your anxiety has to go down because your faith level has to go up. You cannot and you should not do it alone. You have to seek help. And again, admit, don't be so self-confident that you can do this by yourself. You can't do that. You need help. So when I am in a level of anxiety that I say, I need to, again, connect more with the tools that I have that will help me. I need to connect with a medical doctor to see if there is any type of medication that will work with me. So, because if all the hormones, all the chemical balance, the chemical imbalance in my brain, if it is too much, that I can't do this. I won't be able to pay attention. So sometimes, yes, we need medication. We need therapy. We need our friends. We need to be involved. So when the first step says that you need to admit, you need to understand that you have failed, that you are powerless, and that's on the AA. Alcohol has taken your life in a way that you cannot do it by yourself. Don't fool yourself. So let's bring this to anxiety, just as we did with depression. Sometimes we have reached a level that we have to say, I can't manage this on my own. And again, prayer is one of the most powerful tools for us to surrender our will to God and say, I need to connect with you more. I need to understand that this too shall pass, and everything passes. There is nothing in the world that remains the same, nothing. Every single leaf of every single tree that you're seeing back there, I can't, none of them is the same way as 1 second ago. Everything is constantly passing. So your problem will too. Whatever you're living now eventually will go away, but you need help. I mean, the length of your problem, you do have power over that. Perhaps you don't have the power to just make it go away like that. You suffer from anxiety. It's too much for you. Everything seems that it's too much. Well, that's when you say, I know that I've gotten to the bottom. And from now I can only climb up. And I need connectedness. I need help to do this. So again, my friends, thank you for watching. We have gotten for us, we have reached our 20 minutes. And again, share this with someone that you think it might be helpful. Every week for the next 12 weeks, we're going to talk about one of the steps for the recovery model that mostly worked. And this is worldwide. The model that we have for the 12 steps that the AA and so many other programs use. We're going to talk about this and anxiety as well as depression. Thank you everyone for watching. And if you have any suggestions, please put it here. If you have any links that you think might be helpful for someone, or if you can tell everyone that, hey, just go and watch the show. Maybe it's something little that we say that might help. Maybe it's not everything. Maybe it's not the 20 minutes. Maybe it's one sentence that I have learned and I have just passed on to you that you might make a difference for someone. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.